So welcome to something very different on the channel. It is RadsCast. We've been waiting a long time to do this, and we're here with two, can I call them legends? They're not really kind of
okay. So I might as well just leave right now then.
Yeah, I think you ought to. Okay. Well, I've lost one of our guests. Woods and Bray are here, two of my longest serving subscribers, and we thought we'd do a podcast to go into the new year, basically. I mean, Woods did, to credit to you. We're just going to talk about in this first episode why it's depressing supporting Forest, basically. We're going to do a review of 2020 and why the hell everything went so terribly bad and wrong for us, basically. To sum it up, really, going into the year, we were actually in pretty good position. We were fifth in the league table with 40 points, and we were 1 point inside the top six. So it was all kind of going pretty well. And we won our last two games against Hull and Wigan, I think it was. Yes, it was. I know it was. I don't know why I said think. Yeah. So New Year's Day, we beat Blackburn Rovers 3-2. So pretty decent.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. That was, I mean, apart from that Wall own goal at the end, I think it was pretty decent.
It was Jack Robinson's fault.
Yeah. And then
we still don't rank Jack Robinson.
I think we need to talk though about, not that it really mattered, but how VAR, the one time that it affected Forest, it completely screwed us over in that Chelsea game in the FA Cup.
God, not that one again.
We lost 2-0 to Chelsea on the 5th of January. And yeah, I mean, it didn't really matter, but it was just kind of frustrating. We could have took Chelsea to a replay.
I went to that game.
And that's even more painful for you.
We stood there in the stands, and I remember the foul came in. We were all shouting at Albert Adoma to pass it because he was being lazy and spending too much time on the ball instead of giving it to Alex Martin half a second earlier, who would have been clean through. He gets fouled, and we absolutely go mental because we've already gone 1-0 down because we thought we would. But we thought, oh my God, we can actually score away at Chelsea. We thought, that's so cool, isn't it? And so it got to the point, we didn't even realise the VAR was doing it because we thought, absolute stone wall, that's a penalty. Because the referee had given the penalty, and then we were like discussing in our little group of people that we saw who we thought was going to take it. And we thought, oh, Alex Martin, he won the penalty, he's young, he won't have much pressure. João Carvalho, he was playing, he'll probably do. And then we look over at the big screen at the opposite end of the pit, VAR checking. Oh, for God's sake.
It's one of the bonuses about not being in the Premier League is that VAR don't screw us over every week.
Yeah, I think that's what happened with all of the players who played against Chelsea as well on the final day. We thought, do I really want to go to the... Like, we were at that Chelsea match. Do we really want to do that again every week? Really?
No, we don't.
That's why you want to be in this league, but also don't want to be in this league. Because you don't want to be in this league because it's absolutely terrible. But you do want to be in this league so we don't get bummed by VAR basically every game.
Yeah,
which we don't know what happened.
But that's the thing. Even though we had those two tiny offside calls that were gotten wrong and were wrongly disallowed. But they scored a goal that was offside and it didn't even go to VAR.
Didn't we also get a goal disallowed because apparently it was handball or something? Or it was his elbow or something like that was offside?
No, we got a goal disallowed. We got a penalty disallowed because Alex Martin was adjudged to be offside, which he most definitely wasn't. When you look at the lines that VAR had to do, he was very clearly onside. And the second one was Ryan Yates's arm was offside. And that's like just his hand. You can't score with your hand, so you're not gaining any advantage by being offside with it.
But anyway, let's move on to what we actually should be talking about. On the 11th of January, let's just ignore the last few minutes, even though that's all that happened. Reading won, and
I went ahead and I went to that one as well.
Reading won, Forest won, and of course we know what happened. Benny Watson scored in the 96th minute when there was 5 minutes added on, and in the 97th minute, Reading went and scored.
All three Reading fans that exist went absolutely insane.
It's just one of the most bizarre ends to a game of football because the whole of that game was just so dead.
Really, when I say insane, I mean they went yay and then sat back down. The thing that gets me with the Reading equaliser is that the whistle didn't go during the celebrations, because I remember in our win against Coventry this year when Lyle Taylor scored the penalty, then the whistle went during the celebrations, and the rules of the full-time whistle haven't changed since then. So why didn't the full-time whistle go during the celebrations then? Because that's got to make sense. And I've been told that there's such a thing as the 30-second rule, where if there's a goal in added time, then you have to add 30 seconds onto the clock. In that case, why didn't that happen against Coventry? And if so, with Reading, why didn't we get 30 seconds? We only got 3 seconds. We could have scored again. You never know. We obviously wouldn't, but you never know.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
We would have gotten the points that we needed to get the playoffs. We've been absolutely robbed by a decision like that.
Let's just move on then.
Yeah.
To the 19th of January when we beat Luton Town 3-1 at home. I think it was really quite a fantastic result, to be honest, especially after we went behind through Harry Cornick. Lolly then scored 2 bangers, obviously, and then we got that goal from Grabs.
I don't know that you can call the first one a banger.
Oh, not the first one. Nah, to be fair. The second one was, though. But the first one was
The second one was an absolute pearl, to be fair.
Yeah,
but
the first one was just,
It was a goal to get us on level.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe over-exaggerated the banger word, but it was a very important win, wasn't it, really? And then, again, following this, we literally played Reading at the weekend, and then in midweek on the 22nd of January, we played them again because the first game was postponed because I think it was waterlogged pitch or something.
Yeah.
And it was basically an action replay, really, wasn't it, of the first game?
They scored a goal that they shouldn't have had. We scored late, and then they scored a goal that they shouldn't have had because it very obviously didn't cross the line. Yeah.
And it wasn't like right at the very, very end, but it was like Gavin scored in the 80th minute and then Baldock scored in the 83rd as well. You couldn't write it, really. And again, it's a game we should have been winning, really. Reading this season.
We should have beaten them both times.
Yeah. And Reading were poor that season, and like this season, of course.
Reading are still rubbish.
And they are not. I mean, I think Lucas Jazz kind of been carrying them, really, hasn't he, this year?
If you, I remember, I don't think it was on stream or anything, but we had a tier list, and it was liquidate. There were a few options. One of them was hate. One of them was liquidate.
Yeah.
If you could choose one club to liquidate, I would liquidate Reading. I don't even care about that. I care about Reading more.
But there goes all my Reading subscribers. Have we got any?
Yeah, I really don't care. If you're a Reading fan and you subscribe to Rads, I don't care if you unsubscribe. I don't care what you do.
Rads
I don't care what your team does. Get back in League 2 where you belong, if not lower. Thank you very much.
And we're losing more subscribers the longer.
I will not rest until Weymouth FC are higher in the football pyramid.
Weymouth, nice place to go on holiday. I've been there before, to be fair.
Yeah, I have this nice little flat there. It's really nice. No.
We're talking about this on a Rads podcast, but
to keep it entertaining.
And you know what? We're unique. You don't get this anywhere else. So we're unique, aren't we?
Unique. We're very special.
Now, actually, to be fair, this is actually the day before we played Reading again, but this is a special day, I think. The day that Adama Diakhaby signed for Forest on loan from Huddersfield Town. And on the same day, we sold Jack Robinson to Sheffield United as well. So, the first bit of business we did in the January transfer window. What a player Diakhaby was.
Yeah.
Absolutely legendary.
Insert clip here of Diakhaby absolutely belting the ball down the pitch.
28th of January on a Tuesday. A fantastic result away at Brentford, of course, and praise back. Yeah.
Joe Lolly absolutely cannoned in off the floor and
I still remember.
I think Josh De Silva's package, he absolutely, I don't know how on earth he wasn't injured for the next 20 minutes. The force of that shot.
At this stage, I think it's worth pointing out, we were third. We were third after beating Brentford in the league, going really quite well. 2 points off the top two. It's quite depressing saying that. As this podcast goes on, it will get more and more depressing. But on the video break, on the 29th of January, on a Wednesday, it's actually the day after, we signed the absolute goal machine, Nuno da Costa, from Strasbourg.
Well, at least he did. He did score in a Forest game.
Let's not mention that.
It wasn't in the opponent's net, though.
No, not at all. I think it's safe to say back then we needed to have a backup to Graben. We were linked with lots of championship-proven players. Like I think it was Nketiah and Dwight Gale. I know he was linked with us.
We were linked with Glenn Murray for ages.
Yeah, another one. And yet we
went
and signed
him again.
Yeah, we went and signed a lad we'd never heard of, to be fair, and ended up doing very little. For his face is kind of worrying, really. But yeah, let's just move on from Da Costa because who actually cares. The next day, this is a special day, lads. If you thought Diakabi was special, then this is next level. Okay.
Can I have a guess?
Go on, mate.
Was this the day that we signed Goat Tanbong?
Beat me to it. Guy Tanbong signs for Nottingham Forest Football Club. Go Tanbong. And we also sell Chema to Getafe on this day as well.
Yeah, who
The
cares?
lads that we signed at the start of the season.
Who actually cares?
No one really cares about that. But
he played in like 2 cup games and then everyone forgot.
Let's just focus on us signing a true GOAT of the game.
Yeah, Goat Tanbong. I'm going to draw him.
Even though he, in reality, only played 3 game tours to this day. And wasn't exactly a great player, really, was it?
Don't disrespect.
He was an absolute legend.
Don't disrespect the GOAT.
We can't be serious at all on this podcast.
Don't disrespect the GOAT.
31st of January, this is transfer deadline day. We sell, not that this really matters, but Albert Adoma to Cardiff on loan anyway. And we recall Tyler Walker from Lincoln. And I mean, honestly, I think Walker deserved more game time that he got in the end. And Adoma, I still don't agree with the fact that we loaned him out and bought him Diakabi. It was just really quite a poor transfer window, to say the very least.
The paper disrespected the scissors.
What's going on? I don't know what's going on at all.
This is what you get on a RadsCast. We tried to take it seriously, but then
it just goes completely off on a tangent, really, doesn't it? So yeah, now moving on to February, and if this was a full year, it would have been an even longer podcast. But because of what ends up happening, there's actually like 2 months I don't even have to talk about. Okay, so the 1st of February, our annual defeat away at Birmingham. Let's just quickly go over this one. We basically take the lead through Silva, and then Gavin could have killed the game off, and then moments later they went and equalised, and I think it was Pedersen who scored in the second half for them, and it was
Pedersen decided to foul Samba as well.
It was basically
more disappointing officiating.
Yeah, it was basically just what tends to happen when we go to St Andrews. We lose. Which should most likely happen again this season, the way things are going.
Losing.
So far, so good, up until this Birmingham game. Poor. And then it's followed up 6 days later by Forest 2, Leeds United 0.
Yeah.
Because that makes
one of the best performances I've seen Forest play since the last match we played, really, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It was fun. We should have had a penalty, shouldn't we?
Yeah, but all that's wrote off by Tyler Walker. All that's wrote off by Tyler Walker's second goal. It's just
the scenes, absolute scenes. In that.
I remember I was up in the Trent end screaming.
Dude, absolute insane. Like
I was eating a chicken and broccoli bake. It was nice.
Well, you get this. Subscribe if you haven't already to the Rads YouTube channel.
I love sharing random memories that happen with games because I don't know why, but my memory always remembers game days, and so I always remember things that happened on them. So I remember the Leeds game. I was I think I went and sat in my front room because it was a really weird kickoff time. It was at 5:30 or something. So it was too early. So my mum brought us tea into the living room halfway through. We ate half our meat, and it was chicken and broccoli bake. And it was the first time I'd actually had it because it was a new recipe that she was trying, and it was really nice.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I went to the match.
So you didn't have any chicken and broccoli bake?
No, unfortunately. Instead, I got about 29, maybe more, 1,000 people celebrating like we won the league against Leeds.
And Leeds fans to this day still say we overdid it.
I mean,
we
just beat one of the best teams in the league. That
we just beat the team that went on to win the league. Why do you not want us to celebrate?
Exactly.
Against a team that we absolutely hate. Do you want us to? Do you want us to just go? Jolly good show!
Jolly good show, sir.
Bravo, young chaps. Well done.
You're simply fantastic. Now let's continue with the game.
Done, Tyler.
Organised.
Well done.
Walker scores in the last minute. Okay, moving on. Carry on. Yeah.
Doing the golf.
I don't even know what happened next.
Well, it went
full-time whistle, and that's about it.
After this game, it goes from pure, just amazing to the complete opposite. Within the space of about 4 days, we then go and lose to Charlton Athletic at home. Again, I was at, much to my pain. And we kind of asked
you got to watch the debut of Gaetan Bong. Why are you ungrateful?
Apart from that, of course. But, I mean, we made a load of changes, Bong included. Cash was on the bench. Graben was left out completely. Walker was starting, changes like that. And it quite seriously backfired on us, really, didn't it? Because a future signing, Lau Taylor, ended up scoring their goal, of course. 13th of February, Joe Wall signs a new contract with Forest.
Please stay, Joe. If you go, we will be relegated to League One this season.
If you go, we'll be sad.
Now, he said till 2024 this is. So you better fulfill it, Joe. You better fulfill it.
I don't want him to leave in 2024, though.
Sign a deal until you're about 55 years old.
So this was a very, very strange week in the season. So, start of it, we beat Leeds. Then we lose to Charlton. And then we draw away at West Brom. Cashy scoring an absolute belter in the last minute.
Absolutely fiddle out of a game.
Yeah. And of course, in this game, it was one of the games that we like to rip into the officials, and rightly so, because it wasn't really going in our favour, to say the very least. What do we say? I don't know. Let's just move on again. 22nd of February. Not much we can really say about this at all. A goalless draw of QPR at home, and all I can really mention is Joe Wall had that goal.
Joe Wall scored a goal that was disallowed.
I don't think that should have been disallowed.
You
can't control the wind. Cash went to take the corner kick.
Joe Lolly took the corner.
It was either Joe Lolly or Cash went to take the corner.
Yeah.
It was in the quadrant, and when he was literally about to kick it, the wind blew it.
It's a joke that. So you can kind of tell at this stage our form after beating Leeds, it was kind of inconsistent to say the least.
Did it used to be different?
That Leeds game was the start of our downfall.
Yeah, the best moment contributed to the downfall of everything going wrong, as you'll soon see if you somehow don't know what has happened. Anyway, let's just get on with it. 25th of February, quite a rare occasion. We beat Cardiff City away from home.
Well, I went to that. I had chicken. Group pie. It was really nice. And if you ever get the chance to go to Cardiff away, then go to it because it's a bloody good stadium. They let you sit wherever you want. They have really nice pies. They do really good gravy because they do gravy as well. It's absolutely top notch. The parking is really, really close to the ground. It's literally ground and then it's straight into the parking, so you don't have to mess around getting a parking space. It's ridiculous, and they'll just let you in and out if if you're going out to the car park, if you got something in your car, you've already come in, and you can just say to one of the guards, "Oh, hey, I've forgotten something in my car. Can I go out?" And they remember you. Nowhere where I've ever been where they've done that has ever actually remembered you, but they do. It's just a top stadium. We won as well.
That was a mad game. First time in 10 games against Cardiff we'd won, so it was pretty.
Matty Cash made tackle of the season. It looked like a foul all day of the week, but then if you look in super ridiculous slow motion, he got every last bit of the. But it's the best.
2nd of March, a draw away at Borough 2-2. We weren't great from what I remember at all, and we got a late goal through Lewis grabbing the course, and Yates I think scored in the first half. Yeah, Yates, and then Rudiger does what he always does and scores against Forest. It wasn't a great game, really, was it? We should have been winning then. So moving on to a game that we don't really want to talk about, but the 6th of March, a 3-0 defeat at home to Millwall. This wasn't a nice game in the slightest. Obviously, it's the second time in a season that we'd had a player score a hat-trick against us on our own pitch. And could you say, did we expect that to happen? I don't think we really did, to be fair.
I think, to be fair, I predicted us to win.
Yeah. I think I said it we'd draw, to be honest. I don't remember, but it wasn't nice. It really wasn't a good game at all. And of course, as I think most of us will know, this was the last game that we played for a long time because of the coronavirus pandemic, obviously. And a few days later, on the 10th of March, I think this is worth pointing out, it was the day that Vangelos Marinakis got COVID. Things were just suddenly going from bad to worse. And I think when I found out this news, I was really quite surprised. And thankfully, all the players were fine, which was good. And thankfully, he recovered as well. And then 3 days later, we got the news that football's postponed, basically, for
the foreseeable future.
Yeah, for the foreseeable, and all of us were quite depressed. I mean, at this current stage in the present, I think we'd be quite pleased if it happened. But
we were 5th in the league. We were still only 10 points behind 2nd. So it was like, okay, this break could potentially help us because we was on a bad bit of form. We come back, we start winning games. We can go after 2nd because there was nothing stopping us at that time, and it just proves that fans are everything to football.
Well, we'll get onto that in more detail, unfortunately, later. But we'll fast forward now all the way to the 28th of May. So we've jumped basically 3 months, and this is the day that football was announced to return on the 17th of June for the Premier League and 20th for the Championship, which was great.
Wasn't there also Germany as well? Germany had the first time.
Yeah, they came back a few weeks before. They were the first team to come back, I remember. And it was the first time I'd actually watched nothing else but German football. It was just weird. But I think it's worth pointing out because images that precede unfortunate events. 17th of June, Sabah Lamouchi signs a new contract. 2-year deal, could have been added to a 3rd. And I think all of us at the time were really quite happy with this. And I was. Yeah, we'll get on to why that preceded unfortunate events later. And moving on now, this is the first game after massive break. We drew Sheffield Wednesday away.
Mhm.
It's a ground we don't normally do well at all. We were leading for a long time until the last minute, where we do what we tend to do. And this would become quite a regular theme, wouldn't it? Which would end up costing us quite badly.
Yeah.
In the last minute, Stephen Fletcher scored a goal for them. Of course, Lolly scored for us. And it wasn't.
Connor Wickham scored. Not Stephen
Wickham.
Fletcher. What are you on, lad?
Yeah, good. Thanks for reminding me. I know why I thought it was Stephen Fletcher. It wasn't a bad result, really, but this was a good result. 28th of June, we beat Huddersfield 3-1. Again, a very rare game where we won quite convincingly.
Graban's volley was
absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
the second best I've seen us play. Good.
Yeah, we were great. No signs of anything unraveling. It was pretty cool. I mean, very good, I'd say. So, again, moving on to the 1st of July, where we beat Bristol City at home through Thiago Silva's free kick. Obviously, it wasn't a very good game, really, but it was enough to get us the win, which is what we needed. Can't complain, really. And then for quite a key moment, really, and not in a good way, away at the Rams, we draw 1-1. I don't think we really want to talk about this, do we? But obviously,
I kind of do, because Worrell got a lot of stick for giving away the free kick, but you can really see what he was doing. It's like last few seconds of the game, ball's going through. I don't want this man going to the ball and trying to almost concede. It's worth to concede. So I'm going to try and stop this man. He goes down. Ref goes, that's a foul. Ball comes into the box. Samba spills it. I personally think he got pushed from a Derby player, meaning he dropped the ball and it fell straight to them for them to head it in.
Yeah,
it's a definite foul.
It was frustrating, that game, because we were leading for most of it, and then what you just said happened.
Lolly's goal was
great. Yeah, just great, simple as really.
Right in the corner.
And I think another reason why we need to mention this game is that, I think a lot of people know that after this, I think words were had behind the scenes, and it kind of affected the morale of the players and the squad and everything. And I think what really backs that up is the fact that Lamouchi didn't give an interview. He handed it over to the assistant, Bruno Baltazar, and it's just a bit weird, really, isn't it? And quite a poor excuse where I think he said he'd lost his voice or something. I think you could kind of tell that was hiding something. So moving on, we'll just try and get over this part as quick as we can, because it wasn't great. 7th of July, this was against Fulham. Obviously, we lost this 1-0. It wasn't a disastrous result, really, because I think losing to Fulham, they're probably even better than we were. And Harry Arter ended up scoring in that game. And that
was a handball, by the way.
And it was, yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't have counted, to be fair. However, he probably did deserve to lose because he weren't very good at all, I remember. But again, at this stage, we're still 7 points in the top 6. So
all we needed was a point to pretty much secure playoffs the whole time.
Yeah, it was all looking pretty sound at this stage. We're still comfortably in the top 6. Moving on to the 11th, so the weekend we drew the game that we literally played when we were recording this. The last game, Preston away, we drew 1-1. It wasn't a very eventful game, really, apart from the goals, really, in the first half. Mm-hmm. And then we'll just go on to the next game against Swansea, 2-2. I think this was the game we actually had the chance to fully seal it. I think we needed to win it, but we drew. And it was kind of worrying at this stage because we needed to win and we didn't again. But I think in the normal circumstances, a draw with Swansea wouldn't be too bad, really. Obviously, Amiobi scored 2 of them goals. Love to see it. Both of them goals, in fact.
That was a blinding game for Amiobi, and obviously it's a shame that it ended the way it did with the 2-2.
Yeah, and I think I think at this stage we weren't really too worried. We could tell that our form was kind of dipping a little bit because we hadn't won for 3 games. But I think this was next level. On the 19th of July, we lose to Barnsley away. Pretty crap the whole game, really. And I think the lineup said a lot because we rested players before it was even sealed, which is a gamble, which didn't pay off. It was just crap from start to finish, this game. And I don't want to say the score, but the 22nd of July, Stoke at home.
We all know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Should we just not mention it?
I think all the Forest fans, every single fan in the EFL, Premier League, League One, League Two, everyone knows what happened.
Everyone would see what happened.
That's one of the things we have to live with, the fact that we did capitulate. And
I think it says it all, really, because, what I just reviewed, the start of post-lockdown went pretty well, I thought. We did well, we were looking good. And then from Derby to the Stoke game, we didn't win a single game. Mm-hmm. And I think the first 3, that Fulham, Preston, Swansea, weren't too bad. Maybe we should have won one of them. But then Barnsley and Stoke was this next level. Of course, we know that Swansea had to overturn that 6-goal swing, and they did, because they won 4-1. Literally the opposite. And yeah, disaster, basically, really. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Moving on to the next season, the season we're now in currently. And basically from now on in, it's just depression and nothing else. So the 5th of August, I think we should mention this. There was reports that we had the owner and Lamucci had a meeting to say, talking about transfers, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of obvious what our goal was this season, and it was to go up after we failed this time. Of course it was. Yeah. Little did we know, but going on to the 11th of August, man like Jack Colback re-signed to Forest, and I think at the time we were all pretty pleased with this, really.
Yeah, because we thought, we're going to have the Jack Colback that we had from a couple of seasons ago back, and unfortunately, from what's been said, or what's been seen, I should say, we don't. We have the Jack Colback who hasn't played in a season.
Pretty much.
We had the Jack Colback that Newcastle and Sunderland said that we were going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. I will mention this name again, but this is a good way of mentioning it. On the 2nd of August, Matty Cash wins the Player of the Year award. I think that was deserved, really, wasn't it? I think no one else could win that other than Cashy. Just fantastic, really. And there's a lot of things that happen like the next 2 months, given how many players we end up signing. But on the 15th of August, we signed Tyler Blackett and Lau Taylor. I was not that excited about Blackett, but I thought Taylor was a very good signing.
Same day.
Yeah, same day. What are you allowed to think of it?
Well, I think Tyler Blackett is one of them where it's like he can play 2 positions that we need him to. If Worrell's injured, we have the left centre back. If Ribiero's injured, we have the left back sorted. And he performed all right in his first game, to be fair to him. He was running up and down that whole side.
Talking about Black, I don't think he's been good at all, really. He's not really played much, but I just don't rate him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Tyler Blackett is so bad he can't even be memed. So yeah, let's just continue. On the 26th of August, we signed a player that's hardly played a game for us, Fal Basharu from Malmo. Don't really know what else we can say about that because he's played one game.
He played what the Ajax fans said he'd play, not the Ajax, the Lazio fans said he'd play like.
I mean, I think it's another one of those signs that would have inevitably, it wasn't really needed, to be honest. I just think it was more backup. And I think he's been fit for a while, but he's just not played.
We needed squad depth. That was the only thing that really.
He's not been registered to play for the championship. So there's space for championship signings, but we've got so many players who are already registered. They left 2 spaces, and it's Fawad Basharu and someone else. I don't remember who the other person is. I'm gonna have a quick check and see if I can remember, because I know that Basharu's on the. Let's see, who is it?
Diallo, who we'll mention.
It's Diallo. That's it. Those are the 2 players who haven't been.
I didn't.
It's Diallo and.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, but
second Diallo.
Okay, it's actually not the next point. The 28th of August, though, Tyler Walker signs for Coventry, and we bring in Luke Freeman from Sheffield United. At the time, I was really quite pleased with Freeman. I was a little bit disappointed about Walker. I understand why he left, because he probably wanted to play, but I think we should have kept hold of him personally.
He was a good backup for when we needed him.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm just disappointed that he left, to be honest. But moving on, this is going to be emotional. 3rd of September, Kashi joins Villa. Just pain, basically. It was always going to happen. He was linked with loads of clubs: Fulham,
Milan,
West Ham, Milan, Sheffield United. I think were linked with him. You know, there was a lot of clubs interested, unsurprisingly, and he went on to smash it, didn't he? Really, I'm very pleased.
And he's still smashing it,
and he's still doing it right now, which is, you know, I'll be lying if I said I wasn't pleased. You know, it's not like some players where I just, you know, you just don't care. He was quality for a reason.
Jack Robinson. I really don't care about Jack Robinson.
People like that, I just think, okay, cool. But Kashi was next level. But on the next day, in fact, we signed another player that really did not need to be signed, Guerrero from Olympiacos. He hasn't done much for us, really, has he, going forward? And now on to the first game we played this season. Absolute. You can tell the enthusiasm in my voice is dwindling, because it just gets so depressing, as you're about to see.
Luke Freeman.
In fact, we're about to review this game, but you'll love to see it. 5th of July, we lose to Barnsley again. The second time in basically 2 months, really.
5th of September, yeah.
Yeah, basically. This was in the cup, the League Cup, obviously, but I wasn't really too bothered that we lost this game, but it was just a little bit disappointing that we lost.
Oh, I remember. What was it? What happened on that day then? I remember. 5th of September. It was really sunny. And there was a bee got in. B got in, but we let it be. We just let it do whatever it wanted, because it's a bee and who cares. But then it stung one of us, and why? We allowed you to live, and you repay me like this.
I'm just gonna mention this because it's the only form of confirmation we got that our captain Ben Watson left the club, because we never got any confirmation that he had, and like some other players as well, like Pantilimon. I know I hadn't played for like a year, but he never got even announced that he'd left. But this is, of course, Ben Watson. This was the day that we announced squad numbers, and there was no number 8, so it was obviously the only form of confirmation we got. And I just think it's weird.
I think even Charlton said that they'd signed it. It was Charlton, Charlton was.
Yeah.
Said they signed him, and that was about it. No, thank you from the club for last season.
Just strange, and I think there's a reason for it. I don't think they just didn't do it. But moving on. Of course, he now plays for Charlton. But the same day we signed Luki Mbisau from Paris Saint-Germain, PSG.
How the hell do you mess up Loic Mbisau?
Loic Mbisau.
I think, 4 or 5 mil.
It's spelled that way.
4.5 million.
How do you get the E on the end?
I'll never
Lukey.
get let off from pronunciations with Bray here.
Yeah, you won't get let off with them unless you start making them correctly.
Barache. So the 25th
No.
of September, more
No.
pain. A defeat to QPR. Get in. This was terrible again, really,
12th of
wasn't it?
September.
12th of September, yeah. It was just poor,
That was
especially.
the worst day ever.
These first few games, I think this was one of the ones that was just the most frustrating because we normally thrash QPR when we go to their place, but it was the total opposite, really. Just poor from start to finish. So yeah, more pain. Moving on, we have the day that Diallo signed for Forest, and he's played a ton of games for us, hasn't he? Really,
He started every game.
He played all of no games for us.
That's the actual way. Yeah, that literally nothing.
I look like Squidward.
Not even a single game. So what happens next? Oh yes, okay. So we have Cyrus Christie. Cyrus Christie signs from Fulham on loan, and he's not been great, really, has he?
Well, when we signed him, we thought, promotion proven right back. Been promoted with Fulham multiple times. Well, it's a good signing. And then he played his first game. He was like, yeah, this is what we need. We need this type of player who gets down the line, crosses the balls in. But after that game, it was just terrible.
Yeah,
I don't.
Pretty much.
I don't understand why Christie gets such a bad rap. I think he's really good.
It's just
he's always getting in the exact same position, making the exact same cross.
He's not bad. I'm not saying he's bad. I think don't think he's amazing.
That consistency is what makes him a good player. Because he's got a lot of bad reports from that goal where Marvin Johnson crapped in behind him. I mean, like, that's barely his fault. That was a really good run. He probably could have been marking him, but he didn't even know he was there. And the other one where he gave away that penalty against Rotherham, which wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
And I think he's been really good because, let's see, that goal the first goal against Wickham, where he sets that up for Taylor. That's why I think that Taylor should be playing and not Grabban, because he works so well with Christie. Christie gets so many crossing opportunities and always sets up the exact same cross. The exact cross that Lyle Taylor is always there for. He's so good in the air, and he will always be getting his head on that. And with that same cross always coming in, you have to have, if you've got a player like Taylor who will always be on the end of it, then you've got to use it.
So then, on the 19th of September, we have another defeat, believe it or not. We lose to Cardiff. This was just terrible. I remember we started the game really badly and we actually looked half decent in the second half, but we didn't score, which meant nothing. And this was the third straight defeat of the season, and the fifth in total, of course, if you go back to the last season. I mean, what else can we add to that?
Pretty sure not long after Sabri is sacked, or is that the next game?
It was close to the next game, yeah, close.
It was after Bristol City.
It was after Bristol, yeah. But I think it was at this stage we were all kind of really, it was becoming very clear that this wasn't just like a big blip that we were on. It was continuation of last season, the season before, basically. Yeah. And I still think we all kind of thought we'll get going. We'll kind of, just not be where we are, as it turns out right now. And then the next day we signed Harry Arter from Bournemouth. I thought this was a pretty good signing. He's not been unreal for us, I think. I think he's been just all right. Experience, literally, it's been promoted before. multiple times. I thought it was a pretty good signing. And then 2 days later, we signed Scott McKenna, a player that we were linked with literally the year before. So it's kind of not really too surprised. I thought this was probably one of the best signings of the window, in my opinion. And then on the 25th, we actually see three things happen there. We loan out Brennan Johnson to Lincoln, and we sign Ioannou from Aleppo, who a few months down the line ends up most likely leaving, which kind of makes no sense really. And then we see on the same day we lose to Huddersfield away, and okay, fine. I think that Huddersfield game was the worst one out of these first few games, because it was just the defending at the end was absolutely horrendous. League Two level. It's just really bad. And it was kind of looking really, really, really bad at this stage, wasn't it? And then a few days later, we loan out Carvalho to Almira. I said that right?
Almeria.
I said it right. I mean, I think a few people were kind of annoyed about this, but he hasn't been a huge loss, really, has he?
I'm fine with him going out on loan. Yes, he's a player. He's a player. We don't have a lot of them. But I personally didn't think a lot of him.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, you just have to look at what he's done this season.
Yeah.
He's 2 assists in La Liga 2.
That's a rubbish league as well.
Just crap, really.
Obviously, I don't watch the game, so he might do something else. So he might pull out a few megats, but I don't really see him. I don't see him play, and even when he was here, he didn't. He would stand around the pitch a lot, and
he never did an awful lot.
Yeah. But yes, you need them players who does have the flair, can do megnuts, can set up chances. But the way we play, we don't set up chances. We sit back and hit them on the counter attack. And
players like Carvalho and Brennan Johnson are the exact sort of players that we need this season. Those creative players who will make chances. They will sometimes finish them too. And I think that creative players like that are exactly what we need. And if we don't get them in the transfer window, I think Knockout is very good at doing that. But I don't think that his loan's going to get extended, which is a shame because he's a good player. I don't like seeing him leave.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get onto that soon, of course. But the next thing that happened, there's a few players that left on loan, younger players, but one of the ones I think we should pinpoint that isn't a youngster at all is Adoma joining QPR. I thought, I personally, would you have kept hold of him? I don't know.
He was one of them. I think losing him really, you look at what he's done behind the scenes. He's a very upbeat, happy person.
Yeah.
Who banters about, and I think
you need that kind of player, don't you?
It lifts the mood of changing rooms, and we don't have one of them from what I've seen. Absolutely. I mean, I was lucky enough to play with Adoma once because he came down to this football thing I used to do, and it was immediately just joking about as soon as he got onto the pitch, and it was like I was
a genuine nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, I joked about with him. I think you can hear it on the recording of when he came down to it. It was he said, can I get a game, lads? I said, yeah. What are you getting your bib on for? Who you subbing on for?
What did you say?
I said, who are you coming on for, mate? Because he was getting his bib on.
Yeah, it's just the kind of character I think you need around that we do miss this season, to be fair. And I think another player that we should definitely have kept hold of, but he did want to leave apparently, was Thiago Silva. And he was the next player to leave on the 3rd of October. And on the same day, we lose to Bristol City. This is the 7th straight defeat in a row, which left us in the bottom 3. So it was all looking really quite terrible at this stage. We did finally score a goal, which was good through Luke Freeman, as Bray showed us earlier. But yeah, just not.
But then we won our next game, so all was fine and dandy.
Yeah. And a few transfers, in fact, 3 transfers on the 5th of October. A player that was always going to leave, someone like Bella Lawan, he left, and Da Costa was loaned out. And we brought in Cafu, a player that I personally don't think we needed at the time. I mean, he has played quite a bit recently, of course.
Hewton seems to like him.
Yeah, I don't really know why. Still, we loaned out. We sold basically an attacking midfielder kind of player, and signed a defensive kind of player in Cafu. It just doesn't.
I mean,
really make sense.
apparently in his youth, he actually played as like an attacking midfielder. So
yeah, man.
Well, he's not in his youth anymore, is he? He's 29.
I just think it was
I think he's at 30 actually.
So the next day, in fact, quite a big moment. Of course, this was the day that we said goodbye to Sabri, in quite rude fashion, really, because we didn't even say thank you in the statement.
You said sod off. Basically,
pretty much. Just told him
terminated his contract.
Go away.
And I remember I got the notification on my phone, and it was like NFFC have terminated the contract of manager Sabri Lamucci, who guided the club to their highest place finish in 10 years. And then I went downstairs to my dad, and I said, "Have you heard the news? Sabri's gone." And he said, "Oh, well, who'd we get in otherwise?" And then I checked my phone again, and Chris Hewton's been appointed. I was like, "Oh, we'll get Chris Hewton." And he says, "Oh, we'll never get Chris Hewton. He's too good of a manager for us." And I said, "Well, we've got Chris Hewton."
It was either Chris Hewton or Eddie Howe.
Yeah,
we're never going to get Eddie Howe.
That's either a win or a win.
Yeah,
and it was like they both were interested in it. Eddie Howe even said, "I was interested in the Forest job."
I wouldn't mind Eddie Howe either. I think they're both really, really good managers.
I would have preferred Eddie Howe, honestly, but I think he would have.
I think I would have more quickly taken Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
I prefer a manager who would play quick attacking football. And
yes,
we haven't had one of them in ages.
This is getting more and more depressing the longer it goes on, but it does kind of pick up here a little bit. On the 16th of October, we bring in Anthony Knockaert, which was unsurprising, being as he's been with Hewton before at Brighton.
Wait a minute, we brought him in on deadline day. Was that?
I can check myself if you want.
When was deadline day? 16? Surely not. I guess it was. Okay.
That's when it was confirmed, the 16th.
He got his debut at half time against Derby.
Yeah, obviously the first game in the Hewton, we won 1-0 against Blackburn, which was quite a not really surprised because you always tend to win your first game with a new manager, but Blackburn were doing well. They were like top 6. We were lucky, but we seriously needed to win it, and we did, so we can't really complain.
Yeah, went unbeaten in 4.
Yeah, exactly. And then the game
We've
after
gone
this,
on these little odd unbeaten runs throughout the season, haven't we?
Yeah, but we needed
4
to win
games,
more than that.
Then 2 games, then no games.
We've needed to win more than though. That's the thing.
Yeah, we need to win more of them. We need to start turning those draws into wins.
Absolutely. But this exact run coming up completely defines what we should have done. And this exact game, Rotherham at home, we drew 1-1. We should have thrashed them. We had so many chances to put that game away.
Why do so many keepers have absolute worldies against us?
No, go and miss
He
the
said
absolute
we had
sitter.
16 shots and we scored one of them. That tells you all that you need to know about how the keeper played and how bad our shooting is.
And of course, like you mentioned, the next game after this on the 23rd was a draw with them lot. We weren't great at all, really, in this game. Lautele got his first goal. They took the lead, obviously, through Waghorn. And they had a goal.
Free kick, you've got to be fair.
It was a very good goal. But obviously, they had a goal disallowed as well. And thankfully, it wasn't counted. But it was a draw. And it was kind of just mixed feelings, really, at this stage. You know, we should have beaten Rotherham and Derby. We probably were fair to get a point. And it kind of continued into the next week during with Luton. And it was kind of the same, really. Just we should really have
only got a red card and he hadn't played since.
Pretty much, yeah. And it was actually 21st of October we then lose to Borough away. And it was kind of just a bit demotivating because we won our first game in the Houghton and we drew 3 in a row. And then we lose. It was just kind of really quite average. And then we actually get a bit of form going. We beat Coventry at home 2-1. A huge amount of luck, but we got it done through Lyle Taylor's penalty in the last minute, obviously. Good to see it. And then it continued, and we're actually kind of feeling a bit optimistic at this stage. Forgetting the teams that we played, we beat Wickham at home 2-0, and Taylor got both the goals.
Mm-hmm.
It is all looking good, to be honest, looking up anyway. In his first, 7 games, we only lost 1 of them. It wasn't too bad. And then this is where it kind of just got worse again, basically, after the international break. We then lose to Barnsley for the 3rd time in the space of 3 months. Not at all irritating. Let's just move on from that, basically. And then we had an absolutely horrendous run of games against basically every team in the promotion places. We lost to Bournemouth. You know, we should really have got something from that, to be honest, because I thought, Amiobi missed that sitter. Yates missed a sitter. We should have really got at least a point, really.
Yeah. Same with Forest v Swansea. We should have won that.
Yep, another defeat.
Absolutely there for a taking.
Just titled this next game just more pain because I can't really define it any other way.
The next game we draw against Watford, we played absolutely amazing. It's probably the best game that we've played this season.
Yeah, we were great. Yeah, so it was a defeat to Barnsley. Defeat to Bournemouth, then Swansea, and then draw with Watford, which was unexpected.
We scored an offside goal that wasn't actually offside. Yeah. After much review.
Frustrating. And, I think it was kind of said a lot about our season, really, that as me and Woods actually mentioned the other day, it was Premier League goalkeeper Ben Foster actually admitted that we should be doing better than what we were doing on his YouTube. So it says a lot, really, that we were massively underperforming at this stage and are still doing now. And it was followed by, guess what, another defeat to Reading. Because when do we ever beat Reading away? Never. This was probably one of the worst games, really. I'd say wasn't good at all. And I think we kind of had to mention it. Is at this stage, I remember a lot of talk about behind the scenes came out, like for stuff. Yeah. What do you make of all that? Because I just think it's a bit random how it just all came out.
Well, it's only just recently came out, hasn't it? And if it has happened, you can kind of understand why, because we were one of the most promising teams to go up, and I feel like they're getting fed up with us being in the 2nd division now. So
yeah, the way that they're going about it though is not going to increase our chances in any way of getting out of it in the right direction. I just think that they said, right, we'll sign a load of players. It was 14 players in total. Some will stick. And it quite clearly was never going to work. I just think that says that they don't really understand football. It's just more of a business for them, which I think is never good. Never a good thing.
I mean, you look at the club, the other club that he owns, Olympiacos, literally run in the Greek league. So it's like, and they have a bunch of like 30-year-olds practically playing for them.
Pretty much. So yeah, it just gets more depressing, really. Another defeat to Norwich this time. I thought we were unlucky in this game, to be fair. I think we deserved.
It was a very scuffed.
We deserved a point there at least. They got they got 2 really spunny goals.
We deserved a point.
Absolutely, yeah. And then this and the Reading game for me were the worst games since Houghton's been here anyway. Losing to Brentford 3-1 at home, and most of the time it was 3-0 in the second half anyway. And we had Knockout had a goal offside, didn't he? I think he didn't, and he got sent off as well.
No, he got a goal
offside because Tim stood in front of the keeper.
Yeah,
not smart.
I think again another thing we have to mention is the interview that Wall gave after that, basically saying that we're not mates, and I think that's what led to him being
mates of these guys.
Yeah. I think it's what led to him losing his captaincy in the end, because the next games after.
Well, he was only captain for 1 game though.
I think he was captain for. To be fair, I think he was captain for like 3. But
no, it was captain against Watford, and then it was given back to Graben again.
Okay, I think so.
I'd much prefer Worrell because
absolutely
Worrell's our captain.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you look at the interview. He slagged off Graben in game, but then praises him. Like in the interview. So it's like it's not all negative from Worrell.
Speaking the truth ended up backfiring on him. Yeah, and then a much needed result here against Sheffield Wednesday, and of course they were even worse than we were, and Graben obviously got his first goal of the season finally, and obviously Yuri, the GOAT, Ribeiro, your football club needed you, ended up scoring a belter after 5 minutes. A very good goal. Not the goal, to be honest. The celebration, as we all know, was just amazing. But yeah, it was much needed, much better than Brentford in every way, really. Actually, the players seemed to care. And after this, we drew with Millwall, of course, 1-1, and it was quite a dead game apart from the 3 minutes when there was both the goals. And I think away from home against Millwall, it was probably about right. Maybe we should have won, but I wasn't too bothered that we didn't win. However, this game we 100% should have won, because they literally lost 4-1 the game before, and after this, they lost 4-0 as well to Bemlock. 0-0 draw with Birmingham at home on Boxing Day. We should have won that, to say the very least. And I think this is actually the final bulletin of this podcast. A 1-1 draw with Stoke away, obviously, literally last week when we were recording this. I don't know. I'd take a draw away at Stoke, to be honest, but obviously very, very foggy conditions, and I think we have to mention the absolute calamity of Graben's defending. What the bloody hell was that, mate, basically? Yeah, I don't know if you've got anything else to add about that, but it was just...
I think whether or not somebody shouted leave it, you shouldn't be leaving it in that position. Because there were reports that apparently Stoke player shouted leave it to Graben.
What would you do as a Stoke player is told, though?
Yeah, it's too dangerous, though.
No, I think if that is true, that is against the rules. So...
Why?
Because you're putting the opponent off, aren't you?
Yeah, why would that be against the rules? You can do like drag backs and that. You can chat to the keeper as you're taking a penalty.
Yeah, but I mean, like the defense, like apparently the Stoke player went, "Leave it" to Graban.
Yeah, you can politely tell him to leave it if you want.
The Stoke player knew that instinct would kick in and Graban would naturally leave it, even though he probably knew he shouldn't have done. But still, it was just terrible. Like
I mean, the last player that did that was Arthur for Bournemouth, I think.
It's just poor, really. So that's pretty much it, really. Most of this podcast has been really quite depressing, but what do you expect? We're talking about Nottingham Forest in 2020. Not been at all a good year, and let's just hope that 2021 is just a little bit better at the very least.
Yeah.
And to sum it up simply, this 2020 it started really well, and it just tanked the longer it went into it, pretty much. So yeah, if you have somehow enjoyed this first podcast, even though it's been pretty depressing, then you know what, I'll tell you what. You two can say what I'd say. You two can say what I'd normally say. You know, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
I don't know when the next episode will be. When maybe like a few weeks or something.
It will be at a time.
At a time in the future, there will be another episode. Like and subscribe to the Mighty Rads channel. And yeah.
Much time.
You Rads.